Okay, gentlemen, you are live.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the December 28th County Commissioner meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing we have on our agenda today are the minutes.
I move we adopt the minutes from December 21st, 2021.
And I'll second it. And it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, December 21st, 2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Maybe we all move down that way.
Okay, good morning. Next is Planning. Dawn.
Good morning.
Looks like we have a few
We got
signatures.
we actually added one more 5 minutes ago. The Randall's 12 lot major subdivision that was approved a week or two ago. We've got it ready for signature.
Okay.
Then we also have the letter of interest from Stan Pierce to be reappointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission for another 3 years. His term expires this month after his previous years of service.
Any
We recommend
recommendation?
wholeheartedly to have him reappointed.
Move we approve Stan Pierce to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, and I'll second it. So it's been moved and seconded to reappoint Stan Pierce to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a 3-year term. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Roll them out.
Roll them out. Kim, I'll get you the information on Randall's. Man, it's hot in here. It's me. Holy cow. Sounds like the heater's running too. This one.
The heater's on.
Yeah,
It's warm.
the projector's making noises.
Oh, is that what it is?
Here's
Yeah.
I think the fan blades need to.
Probably.
Should we make an X for Joel?
Right. Just put a brand. We'll understand.
That's a good one.
About time for Kim to have to write a new year, and that's
Oh
gonna
my
be painful.
You're gonna have to remind me for a week.
sticker down here that says
Right.
22.
A big sticker.
Man, if you don't, just a mess. Right? It's right.
It takes a long time, and if it's a new stamp and you don't blot them, 'cause we had one the other day, and it was, you couldn't read anything. Looked like you just, yeah. We can't do electronic public notices, so I don't know. That's the worst thing.
It is.
Keep the,
Boy, I hope so.
right there. I like those that are at the bottom. Won't have to unroll 12 feet of paperwork. Oh, now this sticky note for this one. I'll still work. Yeah, it was a new girl over at Dolores State Bank, and she'd never seen a Mylar.
Oh,
And I tried to wait for it to dry, but they didn't cover it up or anything. It was just a complete smud. She said, I already spotted her. That's all I got for today, unless you have questions.
No questions or comments at this point in time.
All right, cool.
I've got a question.
Have a very good new year.
You as well.
He's not allowed to ask questions.
I know, I didn't hear him talk.
Don't say nothing about corduroy pants.
Deal with that, Shaq. Thanks, guys.
Okay. The next thing on our agenda is our public comment session. And the Board of County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during the public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to others. With that, our public comment session is open. And seeing none, I will close the public comment session of this meeting. We'll move on to a liquor license renewal for the Double R Liquor. Ms. Frizzell.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Jerry.
I have a liquor license renewal for Double R Liquors LLC, located at 18794 Highway 491 in Lewis. No infractions or anything reported on this.
Signed, sealed, and delivered. Move we approve the renewal license for fermented malt beverage at Double R Liquor LLC at 18794 Highway 491, Lewis.
And I'll second that. And it's been moved and seconded to resubmit the liquor license for Double R Liquors, Lewis, Colorado, located at 18794 Highway 491. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Jerry.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Next, we have our van procurement for the CIP program. You want to pull that up, Shaq, or? You can sit, you can stand.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning to John. He didn't even say anything. Good morning, Ian.
He did, he was, I'm not John.
He's not John, no.
Did somebody change the name tag to John?
No, it'd be all right.
No.
Good morning, Mr. Shack.
Good morning, Sunshine.
So, we're here on behalf, Chief Balfour and I are here on behalf of the Community Intervention Program to request this van purchase. It's a procurement for a van that we located in Salt Lake City, I believe. And it's a very good price. I think you've seen what it looks like. Have you seen? Okay, there's the picture of it there. The price is $32,995. Yeah, we can't beat that. Our budget was
40.
yeah, 40. So this is a good price for us, and it'll allow us to use the leftover funding to fix the interior, or if there's any kind of repairs that need on it. But it does look pretty good. I believe Shane put 300 down on it, and then we're gonna procure it, and then we're gonna pay back. How's that work, Shaq?
Well, because it's in the 2022 budget, we're just going to buy it out of the capital that we had for 2021, assuming the commissioners approve it. And then we'll, in 2022, we'll write a check from CIP back to capital.
Right. So that would take care of that.
Transfer that.
Yeah, we'll just juggle
Right.
it so both budgets stay
And it's,
correct.
45,000 miles, 45,000 plus some change mileage, so that's not too bad. I'm not sure if it really needs tires or not, and looks like Haley's online. If you have anything to add to that at all, Miss Haley? I put her on the spot.
She
No.
might not have heard you. Haley, do you have anything else you want to add on the van?
I'm not sure she can hear us at all. I may have something funky going on
Huh.
with Zoom.
Chief?
Let me switch audio. Can you hear us now, Haley? Blink twice if you need help. Uh-oh.
The only thing I would add is that it actually fits what we were envisioning perfectly. So I think for the price and the reasonable miles on it, I think it should work out really well and allow us to adapt a small RV-like table inside to do some work off of. So, yeah, I'm super happy that we were able to find that like it is. It looks like it's in really good condition.
It meets the budget requirements. The procurement policy is fine, and we can transfer the funds accordingly after we fall into the new year. So,
Move we approve the purchase of the van for the CIP program. Excuse me.
and I'll second it. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of the van in the amount of $32,995. Or is that incorrect?
33094.
$33,094.
Yeah, we just put 300 down on it. That's why the discrepancy.
Gotcha. For the community intervention program. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Go
Thank
get
you,
your ride.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Happy
New Year.
Bring it in and
Yeah.
we'll see it rolling.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Haley. Next, we have Lori. And is this a new employee? I haven't seen her for a while, have
I
you?
know.
Are you new?
You're really helpful
Hey,
today.
I'm here for you.
Hello.
Wonder what he wants.
I was like,
For the signature?
Being so
I better
nice, I
take
wonder what he wants.
You wanna do
Good morning, sunshine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend this on-
I move we approve the record of proceedings for the Montezuma County Social Services, Board of Social Services from the October 26, 21 meeting.
Okay, and I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to accept the record of proceedings for the social services ending November 2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You want to talk about the next one at all, or
We're
pretty
fine.
straightforward?
It's pretty straightforward. We're doing okay in terms of our budget. I don't see us going in the hole. We're not overspent, so that's a good thing.
Good. Yeah. It is a good thing.
You're looking at her.
I think she's looking at you, Lori.
I would so move that we approve the expenditures for social services for November of 2021.
And I'll second it. And it's been moved and seconded to accept the expenditures for social services for November 2021 in the amount of $1,773,459.11. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Anything new?
Well, I just noticed that the SNAP enrollment and the expenditures coming from SNAP are a lot less for last month, and I'm asking the eligibility manager what's going on, because I thought that was a very interesting number. So once I hear back from her to see what that looks like, I'm just surprised. That's all I want to say. And
Surprised at the reduction?
Yeah,
or
the
why is the reduction?
yeah, why is there a reduction in SNAP? Which I think would be, which I think it shouldn't be, but who knows why that's happening.
Is there a reduction in people?
No.
Okay.
So I don't know what the deal is. The other thing is that we had a foster care recruitment meeting on December 8th, and I think you all were aware of that. And out of that meeting, there were I was there were 9 individuals, and there were 2 people who actually filled out applications. So even with that, I feel that that's progressing, and I think that's a positive, that even if we only had 2 that were interested, that's a good thing.
That's 2 more.
Do you do
Yeah.
that bi-monthly, quarterly? How often?
Well, I think we're going to do it quarterly. Yeah. And we have 34 children in placement currently, and 4 of them are out-of-county placements. So our placements are steady, and that's a lot of placements, a lot of children in placement. We also had 3 referrals during the holiday from Friday night to this morning. So 3 referrals during the holiday, I think that's a pretty low number. So I'd rather there not be any referrals, but there were 3.
Have you ever seen 0? Ever?
I've never seen 0. And then they're
Be
talking,
nice, but
I know, then they're talking at the state, the ARP, the American Rescue Plan Act, and the money that's coming in, and how that money's going to be spent in terms of using those monies for TANF and possibly CCAP, which is the Child Care Assistance Payments. And I don't know how that's going to look, because they're all looking at how to best use those monies for social services benefits. But that's about all I have.
I visited with former director Dennis Story over the weekend, and he said to tell you all hello,
Oh,
and you're doing a good job, is what he said.
well, it's been a challenging time for us all. But we have a pretty good, stable staff. Our child protection staff is basically filled. All the positions have been filled. And we have the 3 screeners, which has helped, because we have the 1 extra case aide that you all approved to do the visitation, supervised visitation.
Mhm.
So we're pretty steady and stable at this point in terms of staffing.
So those 2 folks that we put on are starting to bear fruit a little bit.
What's that?
The fraud investigator and the...
Oh, they're working really hard.
Okay.
Recovery and fraud. So
Good.
they're very, very busy. So you're looking at 100 cases that they're working on right now.
How many of those will go through the court system?
Well, I've only seen a couple go through that the DA's working on so far.
And so that's really just
Right.
so everybody here understands, I mean, we can investigate and pass things on to the district attorney, but ultimately the district attorney is the one that makes the decision to file charges and to move the process forward in that regard.
That's right. They make the decision, but we're trying our best to get those
In
to
front of
them.
so they can make the decision.
Yeah, and they have their own priorities, as you know. The DA's office has their own hierarchy of priorities and what they're able to do. Okay?
Okay. All right, Lori?
Good.
Nothing? Okay.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good New Year's.
You too.
Yes, you too. CSU Extension, Mr. Felson.
Morning.
Good morning.
Just wanted to kind of end the year with kind of highlighting a few things and then just tell you how excited we are for 2022. Another great year working with the county fair. That was a big highlight. Anybody who went out there this summer knew that there was a lot more people out there. There's a lot of engagement and one heck of a sale of our livestock that was kind of record numbers. So what an amazing community we live in with great businesses and people that support our youth and our agriculture community in this area. Expanding our youth development program, so working with the Pinion Project youth this summer was a great way to reach a new audience, and we look to do that with other partners in 2022 as well too. And so just want to highlight on those end. I don't think, Andrea didn't give me the photos to send up to Shaq, but she's doing an amazing thing this last week and a half. We've had all these youth in there doing quilting projects. So learning sewing skills, which has just been amazing, so that we have great quilts at the county fair, but then a lifelong skill. And with definitely knowing companies in the Mancos area to the Pagosa Springs area of the need for Osprey as well too. Perfect example of knowing a skill like sewing that can really lead to a job and be a lifelong career. And so wanted to highlight that. Definitely a big thank you to my staff, Vanessa Malloy and Andrea Jeter. I think it's been a great year working with them. It's been the first full year of all three of us into the extension office, and so that was really great, and we look forward starting on Tuesday of next week. Just met with Billy and Kathy to get everything there settled for our new employee. Emily Lockard will be starting on Tuesday as our Montezuma County livestock and agriculture agent. So that starts, and so we're just fine-tuning her IT stuff, her desk, getting all that ready, but ready to roll on to that. And one of the first programs she'll be working on with a collaborative of other extension agents in the region is the Colorado Building Farmers and Ranchers classes. And so that starts up next month, which goes on for, I think, a 10-week course, and really getting those accounting business skills needed if you're looking to take a career in agriculture or expand your business already if you have been in agriculture. So we're excited about that. We're saving a date for February 17th for our livestock and forage workshop. That's going to be in our region, up in Dove Creek, but a lot of programming through the Montezuma County office as well too, and it'll be a hybrid approach where there'll be in-person stuff, but it will also be streamed throughout our region as well too. Starting not this weekend, but the following weekend, I'll be back with our master gardeners once a month to the Winter's Farmers Market at the Four Seasons Greenhouse here in Montezuma County. So we're excited about that and getting people really excited to get back into gardening and planning for the spring and summer. With that, the last is, we've been planning with and attending meetings with the Four States Ag Expo. That's going on at, I believe, the last weekend in March. But we'll probably do a drought advisors class. I know we'll do a personal pesticide application class and probably a mental health class for a rural audience, and also have a booth there the whole weekend. And so those are some of the things that I think are going to be just normal things we do every year and doing very well for our agriculture, but our rural community here in the Southwest. And then working more with SHAC as the community and economic development team here in Montezuma County gets more established. And we talked last week, there's definitely job descriptions and stuff that we can sit down and look at as well too for the new position, but how exciting that type of work coming from our office with engaging more of our community can be. So I want to thank the commissioners, county administrator, county attorney, and our county clerk that's here today, and just say Happy New Year to you all, and look forward to a strong 2022. And I just signed up tomorrow, was the only date like the rest of this week, to have an evaluation. So if you guys got big things you want to tell Shaq to hammer me with tomorrow, I think it's 10:30. So you have till then.
Nice.
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
No? It was good?
Thank you very much.
No, thank you all. Yep. Have a good new year.
Thank
You too,
Greg.
Greg.
Kim.
Happy New Year.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and jump into these reports, Shaq, before we do the unfinished business. So, because that's an executive session, Mr. McLaren.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to update since last week. I did have a conference with the attorneys in the Road Y matter with opposing counsel there. We talked about some disclosure deadlines and some information that we'll exchange shortly after the new year. And that process will continue to move forward. Other than that, it was a fairly slow week for me.
Okay. Let's jump right into yours, Shaq, because I know we have a few.
Yeah, so I've got some transfer orders
Transfer
we
orders.
need to get approved before the end of the year. Transfer Order 10, 2021 is from Law Enforcement Authority to the General Fund. For the new commissioners, what happens is there's a special levy placed in the unincorporated areas of the county to make up law enforcement expenses, and there's certain things that have to qualify, and we pay those out of general fund, and then at the end of the year where it's reimbursed from the law enforcement authority. So that's the first transfer order I have for you.
Motion to approve order number 10-2021 for the transfer of $785,140.66 from LEA fund to the county general fund.
And I'll second it. And it's been moved and seconded to accept transfer order number 10, 2021, to transfer $785,140.66 from the LA fund to the county general fund for the 2020 LEA actual expenses from December 12, 2020 through December 18, 2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. The next one I have for you is Order 11, 2021, and this is to transfer from the Conservation Trust Fund that's put out by the state of Colorado. It pays for 50% of the salaries and benefits for fairground staff.
Move we approve order number 11-2021, transferring $87,613.28 from the Conservation Trust Fund to the general fund.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to accept order number 11, 2021 for the transfer of $87,613.28 from the Conservation Trust Fund to the general fund for the operation of the county fairgrounds from December 12th 2020 through December 18th, 2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next one I have for you, Commissioners, is to transfer money from the senior bus fund to the general fund for the purchase of the Dodge Invoice 5462. And the way this works, so in a couple of weeks, well, probably 6 weeks, we'll be doing a transfer the other way. All of MOCO is based on grants from AAA, CDOT, that type of thing. And it can only go to those projects. So whatever she didn't expend from her budget will be moved into the bus replacement fund. Then when they need to replace a bus, the county pays 20% and the state pays 80%, but because we can't use those funds for anything other than MOCO, we use that for our 20%. And so this is to reimburse the purchase of a bus earlier in the year, our 20%, and then in 6 weeks after we have her final budget, what was expended compared to what was budgeted, we'll be moving money back the other way. So if that doesn't sound like government enough, let me know.
Anyway, I move we approve order number 12-2021 for the transfer of $34,899 from the Senior Citizens Bus Fund to the General Fund.
And I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to accept order number 12, 2021 for the transfer of $34,899 from the Senior Citizens Bus Fund to the General Fund for the purpose of a Dodge van invoice number 5462. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the
I
fund.
do have a comment though, and
Sure.
I don't know who's listening, but we basically there are stipulations that we have or statutes that we have that X amount of monies can only be spent in specific places. Just because the general fund collects a lot of them, it doesn't mean that it can all be spent in one item.
That's correct. It's, the general fund is not a free-for-all. And in addition to that, the general fund has to play backup. We have to play shortstop for second base if one of these funds doesn't collect when the money's still due. We have to back it up. So it's kind of a double whammy.
Anyway, just to bring that up. Go ahead, Chuck.
And the final one that I have, gentlemen, is to transfer money from general fund to road and bridge. And you remember back in May that you gave Miss Loving the go-ahead to hire part-time staff to help split up the Russian Olive crew and to extend their season through the end of the year. And of course the mill, she is, for whatever reason, organized under road and bridge, and the mill levies collected to work on county roads can't be used to work on private property. So this is to offset that so that we're not misspending road and bridge funds.
I move we approve order 13-2021, pardon me, transfer of $15,709.91 from the general fund to road and bridge fund for Russian Olive project salaries and benefits.
Second, it's been moved and seconded to accept order number 13, 2021 for the transfer of $15,709.91 from the general fund to the road and bridge fund for the Russian Olive salaries and benefits as approved by the Commissioners in May 11th, 2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that'll conclude my report.
Okay. Very good. James, I see you walked in the room. We'll have you come forward and
Good morning, gentlemen. I see we don't have Joel today. Is he sick or?
He's out ill.
Okay.
absent today.
Okay. Well, we hope he does doing okay. What I wanted to visit with everybody about this morning was really the disposal properties the BLM has been proposing. If you take a look at the map we have here, what we have in the magenta color is the lands that the BLM have brought to us and said, this is on our list for disposal. And as you can see, most of those properties are fairly small properties, typically around the 40-acre mark, sometimes 80. There are a few that are a little bit larger here and there. But by and large, they were the 40-acre orphan parcels. I spent some time working with the Rangeland Stewardship Committee a few years back. We looked at all the parcels that they provided to us and came up with a little analysis for each one of them, what they're really good for. Whether you know, somebody could pick them up that's an adjacent landowner, put them into ag production, whether it was development potential, things along those lines. By and large, there were very few of them that really looked like they were really great for ag potential, because what was happening, and we'll zoom in on some of these, by and large, most of these wind up being across a canyon or something of that nature, which is why they were probably an orphan parcel to begin with. A good example is Battle Rock. Battle Rock is a 40-acre parcel. It's a big rock, and yeah, it's got some development potential, but you know, very little other potential in terms of you know, ag, grazing, things along those lines.
Maybe we could put solar panels on it.
I'm sorry?
Maybe we could put solar panels on it.
Well, oh yeah, we've got all kinds of great ideas for it. And certainly all these parcels are valuable. You can do things with all these parcels, but we did try to provide a little bit of an analysis. You know, based on, from the agricultural perspective more than anything, and then the secondary perspective was really looking at development potential. So I took a look at all the parcels that they have you know, presented to us. We've got an analysis of that, and then we looked at some of the other parcels out there, realizing that there's a few parcels that didn't hit the list, and then one of the main criteria we were looking at is, do these parcels actually have public access? And so there's a number of parcels out there that do not have public access that we think possibly could be added to the list. We can evaluate those. So that's part of the discussion, I think. Shaq, we could probably go to the next screen. We'll take a look at some of
if I
these.
remember right,
Do you want row
these-
G or the possible additions next?
Well, let's go to possible additions first, and then we'll go to row G.
these first editions on the map that I saw that we looked at, they were like A, B, C.
Right.
The A values were the highest priority of disposal first, but there was only like 24, 25 properties, right? It wasn't.
That's correct.
It wasn't real big.
That's
and
correct.
Most of those were 40 acres.
That's correct, yeah. Yep. And that A-B ranking really kind of came down to whether or not it looked like, A, you could do any farming with it, B, whether it even looked like you could do very much development potential. And of course, some of them that are surrounded by private lands, you know, you're going to have very limited development potential for those unless you can secure easements, things along those lines. So so this map, we're pointing out a few of these parcels that are shown in kind of a yellowish color there, tan color, I guess. But we pointed out that these parcels do not really have good public access. And so there's, you know, in terms of the public value, they're really marginal, I would say. There certainly is wildlife value. I don't think anybody could argue that, and Division of Wildlife will tell us that. But very few of these parcels really have a whole lot of ag potential, although some of these have more ag potential than the list that the BLM gave us. So, and a lot of these happen to be right around the Phil's World area. And if you look, there's one up there that actually is the southern portion of Summit Lake. You know, the BLM owns about half of the property that's under that lake, and yet there's very little public access that comes down on the south side. Yes, CPW does have an easement. You can walk all the way around the lake. But really, virtually no public access beyond that. It's one of the ones I get calls on all the time. So I just threw that on the map just for the sake of discussion. And Shaq, I think we could probably go to the County Road G one now. And I will let the commissioners know I have put a lot of effort into looking at the Cedar Mesa area. I think there is a parcel that we could pick out that would provide for that access that they're talking about. It would split up some of the BLM. I suspect that the BLM is not going to be very interested in that one. But it doesn't mean we can't talk about it, and if it makes a lot of sense, we ought to push for it.
Would that be on the south side?
That would be on the west side, the one where they wanted to build that road through. Yeah. So yes, you could carve 40 acres off of that, allow for that road. You know, there are probably other ways to handle some of that also. So this is a good example of what some of these parcels look like. I'll talk about the one that's down at the kind of the lower right-hand side. That's a larger parcel there. And that is the gravel pit, the Tozier pit that we currently operate. BLM for a long time has been telling us that they think this is not a bad alternative parcel for putting in a shooting range. In a lot of ways, they've got some good points. It is quite a ways out in the country, fairly well isolated. In terms of the safety factor on that, you could set a range up pretty well. Of course, you know, obviously it's not going to go with our gravel operation out there, but once we terminate that operation, perhaps that is a new possible use for that property. The problem is again access to it, and we haven't got a formalized easement that goes into that parcel. So again, that would be one we could use. There's some really good land uses that we could apply out there, but you got to have the access. If you look at the one that's kind of in the middle there, that's Battle Rock. And part of the reason that hit the map is there's virtually no public access to that. And then, of course, you got that little one that's down there kind of on the lower left. And that's pretty representative of you know, some of the stuff we find out in that area down there. Now, that particular parcel would hold a lot of potential probably for grazing or things of that nature. So we could go on to one of the next ones there, Shaq. In this one, I just wanted to give the commissioners a sense of the type of properties that are out there. And as you can see, almost all these orphan parcels are associated with a canyon or a steep slope that's going to have some limited development potential. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't squeeze a home in at the edge of one of those canyons or something like that, but you know, in a broader sense, I think the overall development potential for most of those parcels is relatively limited. And again, access is going to be one of the primary keys to making sure you have something you can do with that parcel. So, I think we've gone through all of those, haven't we, Shaq? We may have one more.
Yes, that's all you've sent me. James, I do have a question, maybe displaying my ignorance a little bit, but how did the BLM end up with such random parcels to begin with?
Okay, so typically what happened is when this country was being settled, people would come in and they'd place a claim on their property, and they go through that whole process. And so most of that, all the land was really coming out of the general lands office. So these are parcels that are simply that somebody never filed on, is essentially what happened. And I think we could say that in general terms about all the BLM land in Montezuma County was just land that nobody ever filed on during the time that we were really pushing the homesteading. And so what we're left with is these orphan parcels that you know, possibly went down through a canyon. Nobody could see any value to it in terms of what their operation was at the time, and so they just let those go. So we have a sprinkling of orphan parcels, and there is a, you know, they're doing this across the whole Tres Rios, and so La Plata County has quite a few, and so does Dolores County. And some of those parcels are larger than what we have in Montezuma County. We've just taken a slice of Montezuma County to look at today, but there are definitely other parcels out there. So anyway, I guess that kind of, I don't know where we want to go with this. We can do some more analysis on these parcels. I think we've got some of them identified that we can enter in discussion with the BLM on. You know, maybe they make sense to add to the disposal list. I mean, one of my objectives is trying to bring that balance of land that we've lost up a little bit, because certainly, you know, even if every one of these parcels on the disposal list was sold into the private ownership, then we're still not even close to the amount of land that was, you know, acquired by the BLM. So. One other thing, you know, I might mention is that, you know, particularly around the Summit area, the Aqueduct, and then the Phil's World area, there are some pretty large parcels of BLM there that are virtually landlocked. I mean, one other thing that would provide a value to the public would actually be a very precise acquisition on some of those. For example, you could pick up the 40 acres that's in between, to these large BLM blocks, well, then all of a sudden you've got public access to a much larger area. So from that perspective, maybe there is more value. And yet that goes kind of counter to what our position has been through our resolution up to this point. Although that has been a concern of mine with that resolution, you know, I fully grasp the whole concept of it. At the same time, though, there may be a few key parcels out there that may be in everybody's best interest to have the BLM get control of, and thereby opening up more land to public access. So, you know, this is, and I'm not saying that's necessarily what we want to do. You know, it's just another way of looking at things. So.
What about state lands?
Yeah, state lands.
I remember a conversation that the state was going to dispose of some lands to help with affordable housing.
Wow. Now that's nothing that I've heard of, Kent.
Okay.
You know, that came up at CCI. I don't know that they've actually developed a plan around that yet.
Okay, so one thing we could do, though, is take a look at the state lands that we have available, see if any of those make sense for affordable housing and the things that we think would help grow our community. I don't know if any of them are really located in a good location for that.
I don't think so.
That are even close to
Right.
any type of the infrastructure. That's typically what
Right.
we're going to kill those because they're not.
But it
Prob-
wouldn't hurt to take a peek.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't. And the one that pops out most forefront in mind is the land that's out there by Phil's World. That's probably some of the closest state land that we've got. We would sure like the state to consider possibly giving us some land for our trail. I think it's ridiculous that they want us to purchase another easement for something that's largely within a highway right of way anyway. So we'll continue this battle, but honestly, I'm not hearing very good things about it from CDOT on this. We may be stuck with our battle with the State Land Board, but we still want to make a good case on it and just see what they'll do to work with us. So. Okay, gentlemen, I guess unless we got anything else we might want to discuss, we can continue having conversations about the land disposal. I think that it doesn't seem like the BLM is going to be able to move very quickly on this, so I think we do have some time to work with them on it and make sure that we have a good, argument for each piece that we're saying that should be considered to come back into the private ownership. So.
Okay. I think that's a good recommendation. We just keep working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Establish the most relevant and what are going to make the most sense to add back or get back. So.
And again,
I would go ahead.
Well, I would say that we ought to be strategic about this too, and look at some parcels. I mean, if there is an advantage to having the BLM hold a parcel that they currently don't hold, and it is really a key piece, then that's something we could consider. But I've always got that resolution in the back of my mind, and the objective on this is to really kind of balance out, what's lost versus with what we retain.
I would agree that we prioritize the pieces and see what we can do. And it kind of caught me off guard last week when Ms. Clemenson was talking about how they've been unable to dispose of any properties because there's not funding for property disposal. And I thought, good night, only the federal government could lose money on a real estate market like this. Like,
Yeah, when you have to spend money to sell something.
yeah, there may be a little too much overhead there, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I've watched the way they've picked up parcels too, and I think that we're losing an awful lot of money through these acquisitions, just the way they go about it. So yeah, all the way around, the federal government is probably not the best organization ever to be managing or selling or doing anything with property. So.
To heck you say.
Or anything else as far as that goes sometimes.
Buy high and sell low.
Yeah, exactly. It seems to be the case. The problem with the acquisitions, in my view, is that, it usually goes to a land conservancy type organization. Well, then they go ahead and mark it up again, and so we all have to pay the marked up price. And, all they do is turn around and go out and buy more land using that same methodology. So, I mean, as taxpayers, we're probably, I don't feel like we're getting what we deserve out of those acquisitions a lot of times anyway.
You know, one thing I heard last week too that piqued my curiosity that I don't think I totally understand, but Ms. Clemenson was talking about the purchase of the property down in the Canyon of the Ancients National Monument, and saying it was more difficult to purchase because it was in a conservation easement. And maybe none of you can
Correct.
answer this, but I'd sure like to figure out why a conservation easement would make it more difficult for someone, a group like the BLM, to procure the land.
Maybe I misunderstood, but the way I understood it, that they could purchase those conservation easements because they were already set aside, and they could purchase around them, but they couldn't get into those, is the way I understood it.
I don't fully understand it either, Kent, but that's sort of what I was understanding also.
They managed to do it, though.
I would assume there's probably regulations buried deep in some federal regulations book that talks about acquisitions of conservation easements. I don't have it off the tip of my tongue, but that would be my guess.
Okay.
Okay, gentlemen,
right.
unless we have something else, and I'll be here all day, so if something comes up. So,
All right.
all right.
All right,
Very
thanks,
good meeting.
James.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, James. Appreciate it.
Okay, Commissioners report. Commissioner Stevenson has no report today. I will report that.
Yeah,
Commissioner Lindsay.
I don't have too much to report. Few phone calls, few emails answered, some visits in the grocery store were taken care of. But other than that, we didn't have a work session yesterday, so wasn't much going on this week. That's it.
And we'll not have a work session next week either.
It was a short week. We were able to spend some time with our families, which was enjoyable. I likewise don't have a whole lot. I did get a hold of, which we had talked about for the fairgrounds, 2 items for the fairgrounds. I was able to get a hold of John Hayden and got a couple names for the representatives of the Tyson Krupp, TK Elevator Corporation, and also Otis. And I will try and get a hold of those. Unsuccessful last week, but try and get a hold of those guys this week. If not, it'll wait after the new year. Since we were talking about either that chairlift or an elevator, these guys are putting or repairing the elevators down here that we have for the housing authority. So I will continue on with that. I also had some correspondence with the lady on the murals for the fairground. Hopefully we'll get that set up, Shaq, for a work session here in the next couple weeks, and then we can kind of discuss sizes, what we're looking at, what we're displaying. I did send those emails for reference to you guys. And then finally, we just received, which hopefully Kent will be able to help me understand all of these analysis from Empire Electric for the everything today that I'm talking about goes for the fairgrounds, whether we stay at general 3-phase or we stay at large power 3-phase, and what the difference is in the demand rates, if we hit the demand rates, so on and so forth. So we have those to kind of look at
At
and
the next
analyze
workshop.
at the
Yeah.
workshop, and then also then if we can search for that grant funding for that system for that, because then I think that changes the whole game on that whole 3-phase to general 3-phase. Anyway, that's all I have. And if I haven't missed anything, we're going to jump back up to unfinished business, which we have an executive session for the county administrator's evaluation. And
I move we go into executive session for discussion of a personnel matter under CRS 24-6-204, parentheses 4, parentheses F.
And I'll second it. And it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session for the discussion of a personnel matter under CRS 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses F. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Maybe we could get some cardboard.
Okay, gentlemen, we're live.
I would move we come out of executive session.
And I'll second it. It's moved and seconded to exit executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will continue on with our regular meeting. One other thing that I just remembered, I did get a call from John Whitney, Senator Bennett's aide, I believe Friday. And he had asked if I had heard, and I didn't have the opportunity to check with Shaq or Sarah, that apparently the VA there's talk or discussion about moving all of our people to Grand Junction. And the way I understand it is they actually now, most of them go to Albuquerque, but I didn't want to, I did say that I had heard nothing.
Sarah's using her leave time, so I have not heard, but as soon as she's back in the office, I will follow up and find out.
Definitely want to find out to make sure that we get a consensus of our people here, to find out what their,
Preference.
what their preference is, because I know that it's, although the distance is the same virtually, it may be, the care one way or another of what they prefer. So
Right.
just follow up with that.
Yeah, and not having spoken to her, but having pretty strong feelings, I would say that we should always allow our veterans to have as many choices as possible.
Yeah, I know, dealing with my father and my father-in-law, that basically the division line for going to Albuquerque or Grand Junction is Main Street.
Here?
Yes. Because they wanted to send my father to Albuquerque, and he lived south of Main Street, and that was kind of the impression I've gotten from other veterans, and everybody north of Main Street went to Grand Junction. And I know they have different preferences because there's difference of care, and I would really like to see that.
Yeah,
So anyway,
I'll follow up and we'll.
John Whitney to say,
Yeah.
hey, have you heard anything about this, and what do you know? And again, I've heard nothing, so just to bring that up, so that we can definitely follow up on it with Sarah and our veteran. Other than that, I will move we adjourn this meeting of December 28th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn the 2028 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.